Hello. Owning an Ulfberht sword during its era would be like owning a Ferrari. Largely associated with the Vikings, the strength and quality of the blade made it feel near mythical to the understanding of experts even today. It was baffling. Where did such a blade come from? Sharper, stronger, more flexible than all else during its era. It would not be possible to replicate such a blade at scale outside of the Industrial Revolution. We're still not sure how medieval Europe got its hands on such a blade, but one theory suggests perhaps Germany acquiring high-quality steel from the Middle East, perhaps the Arab Smiths and their famous Damascus steel. Those two worlds coming together, from there forging the blade, which went on to be sold to Norse and Frankish nobles. Let's go back to considering that. Germany working with Middle Eastern steel. That's the intriguing thing about this theory. It was not the contribution of one part of the world, but two well respected in their individual disciplines. That's what forged this legendary blade. This is an understanding that reigns true in all facets of life, whether it be composite materials coming together to make a superstructure, a larger pool of dominant phenotypes contributing to a healthier, stronger animal. When we take one part of the world and forge it with another, innately, we have the potential of making something far superior than the individual variables alone. That is the beauty of mixed martial arts. It's common to see a combination of the high success rate disciplines like jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai, or kickboxing, but the more time progresses, the more refined the high success rate combinations are, not necessarily exclusive to just those. Take George St Pierre, for example, who, despite not starting off as a wrestler, still possessed a remarkable capacity to take down his opponents. Why was this? How was George consistently able to take down better decorated wrestlers? Let's hear from him.
I spar a lot with much better decorated pure wrestler than me in MMA. I put them all down, all of them. Not because I'm a better wrestler, it's because my timing, I learned from karate how to close the gap in karate. I use the karate for the takedown. Some use karate for blitzing and like Wonder Boy.
That's exactly it. We see Freddie Roach in his corner, signifying a high pedigree of boxing as part of his kit. We see a legendary success rate in his takedown ability, but one thing we rarely note is his timing. That was his unique knowledge advantage. The other part of the world which acted as a catalyst to his overall kit, karate timing. His ability to cover distance blitzing into his opponent's hips with a timing they were not used to. It made it very difficult for his opponents to gauge his engage. Karate timing paired with wrestling technique is the combination that forged George St Pierre's legendary reign. Edson Barboza has been recognized as one of the best strikers in the UFC, and when one condition is met, he looks near unstoppable. What is that condition? Space. Why? With a combination of Muay Thai and a black belt in Taekwondo, the moment he's given space, the dexterity, deceptiveness, and speed of Taekwondo meets the practicality and efficiency of Muay Thai. This makes his kicks very hard to deal with. Standing at a range, he just eats his opponents up. One clean roundhouse or spinning hook kick anywhere, it can instantly change the course of the bout, or even end it altogether. That's the synergy that's made him terrifying when given space. Both Khabib Nurmagomedov and Justin Gaethje highlight that you have to keep him on the back foot, march in with constant pressure towards the pocket. Why? Two reasons. Kicks need space, thus by stepping into the pocket, you've worked to mitigate their ideal range. Second, it's much harder to generate power off the back foot. The amount of leverage he generates kicking at a range is just far too dangerous. By forcing him to consistently reposition his feet by moving backwards, you take away his forward momentum. That is the thing. The power advantage is typically given to the aggressor, but the risk of being the aggressor is running into your own power. That's where the next synergy comes into play. Conor McGregor, karate footwork, and boxing. Off the back foot, he can meticulously slide into a counter. This combination is just part of his vast arsenal, but it's perhaps the most intuitive one to grasp because you can see it right off the bat. You can't just recklessly engage on Conor McGregor because he can instantly position himself to touch you up against your engage. This naturally has you on the back foot, establishing respect via counterpunch pressure. But When you start moving backwards, his ability to control, his ability to touch you up with just these two fused disciplines is phenomenal. Example is Corkscrew Uppercut from bladed stance. Watch how Conor McGregor from his bladed stance shows his left hand. Naturally, Donald Cerrone reacts to this strike by slipping to the outside. It was a trick. Conor just showed it to him to trigger this reaction. This in turn allowed Conor to rock out into his lead, which in turn loaded tremendous potential energy into that lead. This entire sequence is how he covers so much distance with his Corkscrew Uppercut, a harmony between that bladed stance and boxing signature to Conor's style. When we understand this, we see two worlds coming together to make a deceptively effective single style. So then, now that we're getting a feel for what makes the elite, we realize it's not an individual style or physical aptitude alone that reigns at the top. It's an open-mindedness towards martial arts which helps breed effective synergy. Whether it be in the case of Israel Adesanya, who bends between styles, or combining the Taekwondo chamber into a Muay Thai roundhouse to form his question mark kick, chamber Taekwondo, Shin Muay Thai, boom. If you don't see it, it might just switch you off. Or let's look at the pound for pound king, Jon Bones Jones, who calls his style of fighting looks-you-do. Quote, "If I can see it, I can try it. I pull off a lot of the stuff that I can see, so what's going to separate me and hopefully move me up the ladder is my unique style." This stated by Jon Bones Jones when he was a UFC up-and-coming light heavyweight.
Yeah, you know, it was crazy because George St Pierre came down in our training camp, and I was just watching how much of a professional George is. And George was working that choke from the front headlock position. I was just watching him do it over and over again. And, you know, Greg didn't want me to do any working out at all because I was just getting ready to fly to Vegas. And, but it was just a blessing in disguise. I got to watch George practice that move, and then I did it in the fight today without even ever training it. So it was just a major blessing.
Look where he's made it to now. Look, see, do. The core philosophy that took him to the top of the UFC pound-for-pound rankings. When you understand this, you realize you can't necessarily find an ideal combination of styles that will reign supreme. What the top possess instead is the open-mindedness to experiment. Like a true scientist, tinker to in turn figure out what works ideally for the individual. This is something Bruce Lee shared during his era, during his time. No way as way. No limitation as limitation. To this day.
To this day!
Those words remain true when placed in context to today's top. No way as way. No limitation is limitation. After all, of course there are tools that simply work more consistently than others, but that open mind towards growth in all its forms is what allowed these individuals to reach their next level heights.
Looking at Anderson, the way he approached it, and then taking some things from him, and then taking some things from Chuck, and taking some things from George. I approach this game with a learning mind, you know what I mean? A true martial artist has an open mind. And of course, a true martial artist is peaceful.
Their contributions, through open-mindedness, have helped the game as a whole reach new heights. To that end, there is no ultimate mix of mixed martial arts. There are more consistently effective combinations, which also, when paired with the unique individual condition, is a venture into infinity all by itself. That said, it's fair to focus on an ultimate mentality than it is to focus on an ultimate mix of styles. To have an open mind, to tinker, play, to figure out yourself, figure out and focus on what works best for you, the individual, your unique aptitudes. That's the game, really. Self-awareness. To figure yourself out and to have the courage to live that expression. Whenever you look at the top, that truly is the only fair common denominator. With the martial arts acting as a microcosm for the whole. If you take this understanding and look further into all facets of life, sure, the variables may be different, but like physics, the formula, it still remains consistently true. Until next time, peace.
I watched Anderson Silva at UFC 90. I think that was my first pay-per-view I watched of him. But before that, I watched some DVDs. But then UFC 90, I watched him live fight Patrick Cote. And then he used, probably in the first round, like 10 different styles. And then the second round, used telekinesis to dismantle his knee.